in New Zealand. Today, a police commissioner says 28-year-old Brenton Tarrant has been charged with murder. NBC's Sarah James reports from Christchurch, New Zealand.
Here in Christchurch, New Zealand, a grieving nation got more bad news.
It is with sadness that I advise that the number of people who have died in this awful event has now risen to 50.
50 other people were injured and 36 remain in the hospital, 2 of them in critical condition. The gunman live streamed his horrific shooting rampage at 2 mosques on social media as he took aim at men, women and little children involved in their Friday prayers.
As you know, the 28-year-old male appeared in court yesterday charged with murder. You will also know that 2 other people were apprehended at a cordon during this operation. At this point, we do not believe that they were involved in these attacks.
The investigation into the mass shooting continues, and it is a wide-ranging one. New Zealand's Prime Minister says the alleged gunman wasn't on any agency watch lists either in New Zealand or Australia. She wants to know why. Authorities say they are exercising vigilance to make sure that everyone in this island nation remains safe. In Christchurch, New Zealand, Sarah James, NBC News.
A suspect is in custody for the murder of a New York mob boss. Police say Francesco Calli was shot at least 6 times outside his Staten Island home Wednesday. Investigators arrested 24-year-old Anthony Camello in New Jersey today. Camello will be charged with murder.
Not yet 3 days into this investigation. Certainly the priority was getting the individual responsible for the murder off the street. That has been accomplished.
Authorities are investigating whether others were involved and what the possible motives may have been. Wisconsin is under a state of emergency. The governor issued the declaration after a rapid snowmelt and rain caused some severe flooding in the state. You're looking at video from Green Bay where people had to be rescued from their homes. Several businesses in the area have also been closed, as well as Green Bay schools. It feels like you get flashbacks because we had that much snow, but not that much snow melt. That has to be tough to deal with.
Without a doubt, and believe it or not, all that water that's been melting all the way up from the Dakotas, it's all coming this way. So that's why we're seeing so much of this flooding. It's not as much rain, but yeah, you're right on target with that. So we'll get into that. Meanwhile, it's been a long time coming, but it's nice to finally have a weekend we can enjoy.
Give yourself a round of applause.
I don't want to take all the credit because it's not my doing. I would have brought this a long time ago if I could control this. 60 degrees or so across the area. High temperatures today. We are above average. Our average 55, so this is some very nice March weather, and we're getting it on a day when we had all sorts of events going on. And look from many of our cameras here. Power and Light Apartments is a buzz. Looking down towards the Power and Light District, the Country Club Plaza, a lot of folks out enjoying this, and a beautiful shot there of the sunshine at the Truman Sports Complex. So it's nice to have at least some beautiful weather like this to enjoy. 58 degrees right now is your current temperature. We've got a little bit of a west-northwest breeze, 13 gusting to around 25 on occasion, but we'll see that stay pretty light. We're done with the wind. Hard to believe with all this nice weather that we're dealing with some major flooding across the area. Now, it's all river flooding, but this is a pretty dire situation in some places. The Missouri River at Atchison, one example. Right now they're seeing a flood at least reaching the water height around 27.5 feet or so. They still have more to go. 31.4 feet is the expected crest into major flood stage. The record, all-time record, 31.6 feet. So they're going to come awful close to that. And that's just one of the spots that's going to see it. Another one, the Missouri River at Brownville near the Nebraska border, 45.73 feet. They're already into major flood stage, above their all-time record and going to continue to rise. 47.5 feet is where they're expected to be, and you see the record behind me there, 44.8 feet. So they're above that, setting a new all-time record. Luckily, it doesn't get as bad once we get a little closer to the Kansas City metro. So, for example, the Missouri River at Leavenworth, its current stage 24.34 feet. We're expected to get just below the major flood stage. So not quite there, but we're very happy to see it should fall down after that point where at least we're getting a little bit of relief from some of that water. But still, upstream from here, it is looking pretty bad. Anyone who's in the path of that water needs to be making preparations and getting out of the way. It's even too late in some places. All right, we'll be watching the flooding situation closely. Around here, it is going to be quiet. It's going to stay calm. You see the temperatures falling tonight down in the 40s. Moving in the overnight hours, we're going to stop somewhere around the freezing mark, maybe in the upper 20s, but sunshine all day long on Sunday will warm us up a little bit. Not quite as much as we had today. Low 50s, a good likelihood across the area, though. And moving into Monday, a third day in a row of mostly sunny skies, temperatures near 50 degrees again. So this is wonderful. We've been very lucky. Let's say that's the luck of the Irish on our part. Temperatures tomorrow for your St. Patrick's Day forecast, warming out of the 30s to around 50 degrees by the late afternoon. So we've got a lot of events going on there, and it should be just fine through all of that. Our next chance of rain arrives on Tuesday. Not a major storm system, but enough to bring us some light rainfall. Not out of the question to mix with a few very wet, very quickly melting snowflakes. So that's all we have. But the first day of spring starts Wednesday, and look at that. We could be hitting 60 degrees or better at that point. Yeah.
Yes. I think some Jayhawks fans are feeling that way.
Well, you know, they're hoping for better things ahead in the second half here. Kansas putting up a fight in that Big 12 championship. And speaking of champs, hey, Grandview, take a bow. We take you down to Springfield for the repeat performance. 41 Action News and Sports is coming up next. And good evening to you. Time to see who can claim the title. Iowa State taking on Kansas at Sprint Center for the Big 12 championship. Both teams having a lot of great fans on hand to see some great basketball. First half, Devon Dotson gets a hand in the passing lane with the steal. He takes it all the way up for the layup. It's 15-12 Iowa State. On the next play, Quentin Grimes with a huge block. Runs down the floor. He's rewarded for it, too. Garrett passes to Grimes. He makes the layup and gets the foul, too. KU down by 1, 15-14 at that point. But Iowa State hanging on. Lindell Wigington loads up and lets that three go. Cyclones go into halftime with a 32-22 lead. This game's still in progress, and right now it's 39-24. Cyclones leading the Jayhawks. Big 12 regular season champs will have to get reacquainted with the selection committee. Let's just say that. They await to hear their fate on Sunday.
It's win or go home. We don't have another game after that, so that's the mentality. We got to play K-State basketball the way we're supposed to, and you know, follow scouting report, follow what the coaches say, and you know, I feel like that's going to help us win.
We are better when we have a fear factor. When our guys fear and they lose, they seem to have better determination. So maybe in the long run, this will help us.
Over in Memphis, the Shockers are in the AAC tournament facing Cincinnati in the semifinals. Early on in this game, Marquise McDuffie weaves his way into the lane for the lay-in. Shocker score. They're down 6-5. Later, Jamarius Burton gets the ball in the corner. He's wide open, drains the tray. Wichita State goes up 10-6. Cincinnati sticking to their game, though. Nicer Brooks makes the jumper and makes it look easy. Right now, it's 53-43 Cincinnati. Well, it's all about high school basketball around here, and for one team in particular, the Grandview Bulldogs, they have an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done in a long time. That's repeat as champs. They're in Springfield today. Let's take you to the highlights. St. Mary's and Grandview for that Class 4 state title. And they're getting it done. Defending champs looking good. But the Dragons came out breathing fire. Yuri Collins on the injured leg, dishing it out to Donovan Parker down low. Dragons had an early 8-point lead. But the Bulldogs had bite in DeAndre Sorrells with, oh man, a great shot there. Jermaine Yarbrough also had a putback slam. And by the third, it was back-to-back threes from Sorrells, and the Dogs had a 13-point lead. The Dragons were simply falling apart. But Collins wasn't going to let up by any means. The SLU commit drilling a three-pointer, taking it in the lane, and after this, and gets the one and the one. The lead is cut to single digits with this Parker three-pointer, and we have ourselves a ball game. Dogs nervous in the fourth. This three by Collins with less than 2 minutes to go. St. Mary's lead just drops, but here comes the Bulldogs. Sorrells forces a turnover. Game turns into a free throw contest, and Grandview escapes as your winners. They win their back-to-back titles. The final score in this one, 69-64. Congratulations to Grandview and all the Bulldog supporters. Lincoln Prep girls team was playing for their first ever state title, but just not enough gas left in the tank. In Cornate word, wins it 61-35 over the Tigers. Still a great season for Lincoln Prep. North Kansas City girls basketball team also in the finals. The Hornets beat Republic 42-29 last night in the semis. Tonight at 8:10, North Kansas City will get ready for another one. A team that's 29-1, Jefferson City. That's going to be a tough contest. Looking forward to that matchup. Well, after 4 years with the Kansas City Chiefs, veteran wide receiver Chris Conley is heading south, like 95 south. Today, Conley announced that he has signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The 25-year-old was selected in the 3rd round of the 2015 draft by the Chiefs. Last season, Conley had 104 receptions for 1,238 yards and 6 touchdowns. During his Chiefs career with the Jags, well, he will reunite with one-time Chiefs backup quarterback Nick Foles. Should be interesting. Royals in a split squad game in Peoria for this one, taking on the Padres. A big second inning for the Friars. Franchi Cordero with a blast to right field. His first homer of the spring. Padres scored 3 runs in the second inning. Royals get a little bit of revenge, though. This is Brian Goodwin. Powers up for the solo shot. The Royals trail by 2. It's 5-7. But Padres find a way to add some insurance in the bottom of the 8th inning. High numbers rolling the dice, and San Diego adds 2 more. The final score is 10-5, Padres over Kansas City. Back to the field for Sporting Kansas City after coming off a CONCACAF win Thursday. The club will visit the Colorado Rapids Sunday. It won't be easy for Sporting. Led by second-year head coach Anthony Hudson, Rapids have fresh faces and improved talent.
Good players, smart, a good desire, most of them attacking, and they got a good nose for the goal, and also they've been in big games.
So it should be fun to watch. Hopefully Sporting can come away with another win.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
41 Action News will be right back. Welcome back. I'm Dia Wall, and these are some of your top stories at 6:30. Police believe they found the body of a missing 2-year-old with Kansas City ties. Nolani Robinson has been missing since Monday. Police say her father, Darius Higgins, shot and killed Nolani's mother, who's from Kansas City originally. Officers arrested Higgins earlier this week. Kansas City police are identifying a homicide victim. Officers were called to 64th and Manchester around 1:30 Friday afternoon. They found LaDeja Oliver dead inside her apartment. Police have not said how Oliver died, but they are investigating this as a homicide. We're less than 3 weeks away from the primaries to determine the top candidates to succeed Kansas City Mayor Sly James. 41 Action News reporter Nick Starling went to one of the forums this morning that spoke to specific issues and communities in the city.
This mayoral forum was held in the Samuel Rogers Health Center, where the topics really focus on the Hispanic and refugee communities here in Kansas City.
It's the home stretch of the mayoral campaign as the candidates face another group of inquiring citizens.
Will you or will you not support a relationship between immigration detention and the local police?
Celia Luis is happy the candidates are answering questions her community cares about.
We talk about immigrants and refugees. I mean, you're also talking about businesses. You're talking about your workforce. You're talking about those taxpayers. You were talking about, when we talk about those communities and to the extent that they are connected to, it's not a small sector that sometimes we want to say it's just 10% of Kansas City. No, it's 10% that's connected to 100% of the city.
This is also a time to see which candidate closely aligns with their values.
I really wanted to understand where their positions were in terms of increasing representation within our own community and their commitments, and seeing where they stood on that.
Organizers of this forum say the next leader of the city should understand their worries.
As it relates to the federal government and what's going on there, I think the immigrant communities are really concerned about who's going to lead them to the next step of the city.
A city they say should embrace every single community.
The fact that they're recognizing that we are a force to be reckoned with, I'm excited about that.
The primaries are on April 2nd. The top 2 candidates go on to the general election in June. Reporting in Kansas City, Missouri, Nick Starling, 41 Action News.
Today, Ad Hoc Group Against Crime hosted a vigil for the family of Michael Lee Scott. On Monday, police were called to Norton and East 35th Street. They found 32-year-old Michael Scott and 22-year-old Jazan C. Rice shot and killed. Vigil organizers say they hope events like this help the families of homicide victims grieve and move forward, though they know they'll never be the same.
Homicides like this have a ripple effect because there's 4 children who don't have their father now, and these are 4 children who are never going to know who their dad was.
Organizers say there have been 28 homicides in Kansas City so far this year. They hope to offer counseling to those grieving families. Today, veterans honored the 74th anniversary of Iwo Jima with a memorial ceremony at Leavenworth National Cemetery. The 3 remaining Iwo Jima survivors in the Kansas City area all participated, and they're all Marines. The parade included someone singing the national anthem, as well as a rifle salute on Hill Summit behind the monument there at the cemetery. It's time to break out that green and celebrate the Irish. Tomorrow morning, the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade rolls through Kansas City. 41 Action News reporter Jordan Betts talked to this year's Grand Marshal.
Well, it's a big weekend in Kansas City. You got Big 12, but also tomorrow we have St. Patrick's Day and the big parade tomorrow. And I have the guest of honor with us. Could you say you're really the guest of honor?
I think I'm the guest of honor.
You know,
I'm one of the guest of honors.
We have
not the.
True, but you're the Grand Marshal.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big deal, right?
That's when you say it that way. I do kind of sound like the guest of honor.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You're a Kansas City native. What does it feel like? You've been part of the parade before in the past. What does it feel like to be the Grand Marshal?
Well, it feels great to be back in this capacity. I was a clown in the parade when I was in high school. My uncle asked me to come and join him, and I was. And I remember being so excited to do that. So to be able to come back now in this way, because I know how important the parade is to Kansas City and all the folks here, is just an opportunity to get outside, and the weather's supposed to be good tomorrow, so that's exciting. And yeah, I'm excited. I love any opportunity I get to come back to Kansas City and do something, and this is a way, a grand way, some might say, to be able to connect and say hi to a lot of people.
And what's your favorite part of the parade since you've been part of it before?
Well, a little known fact about me is I get very emotional at parades. Parades make me cry for some reason, and not for some reason. I know the reason. Anything that I know that took a tremendous amount of work and logistics and coming together, like Broadway musicals and plays, make me very emotional. So my favorite thing about a parade is just the fact that everyone comes together for this one thing. Parades are very, very emotional that way. I can start crying now about the parade. Here I go.
I know you're getting me misty too. We're going to see him tomorrow starting at 11 o'clock as the Grand Marshal. We're going to wish him like the Grand Marshal. There we go. We're sending it back to you guys.
All right, thanks for that, Jordan. Some of you may have enjoyed the 39th annual St. Patrick's warm-up parade in Brookside this afternoon. More than 100 organizations and businesses from across the metro entered that parade. It's been a gorgeous weekend so far, especially compared to what we've been dealing with. Gerard, is this weather going to continue?
It will. That's the best news yet. As long as we can get more than one day of it, I think everyone's going to be very, very happy. So the St. Patrick's Day weekend we have had has a lot of events, and I'm sure everyone wants the weather to cooperate. It certainly did today, and it will as we move into tomorrow as well. Right now, temperature is still very comfortable. I saw a lot of people out getting some yard work done. I'm sure there's a lot of that debris from all the wind that we've had that they're having to clean up, things like that, and just trying to enjoy the day too. Upper 50s right now. We have a little bit of a light wind that's going to bring in a little bit cooler air tonight, but not so bad. So the remainder of your evening still staying mostly in the 50s at least. By around midnight, we're dropping into the 40s. So it's going to be getting a bit chilly, but tomorrow still looking nice, just not as warm as today. We'll have a closer look at your St. Patrick's Day forecast. Also, an update on the river flooding coming up.
Thanks, Gerard. Dozens of students competed in the Jackson-Clay County Championship Spelling Bee at the Mid-Continent Public Library today. The special events coordinator there says she loves seeing kids work hard to prepare for these challenging words.
It's very gratifying to see them take it so seriously and work so hard at it and really enjoy what they're doing.
After 13 rounds, 7th grader Arden Peterson won the B for the word dolomite, which is a mineral. Peterson will go to the Scripps National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. just after Memorial Day. By the way, Scripps owns 41 Action News. 4,000 people flooded Westport for the 41st annual St. Patrick's Day run. Bagpipes were playing and those Irish dancers were kicking those heels to an Irish jig ahead of the 4-mile run. The kids got to participate in the little leprechaun run at the end of the race. That was just 2 blocks. That's more my speed around here. Meanwhile, thousands of people spent the morning in North Kansas City for the Snake Saturday Parade. The parade honors St. Patrick, who, according to legend, drove snakes out of Ireland during the 5th century. The Kansas City English Bulldog Rescue hosted that event. New numbers are showing just how deadly dementia can be, what you need to know about the disease.
All right, we're dropping down into the upper 20s tonight. That's a bit on the chilly side, no doubt, but it's not going to stay cold. We have more nice weather coming this way. We'll talk about when our next rain chance is coming, though, as well, right after this.
New numbers show just how deadly dementia can be. Deaths doubled between 2000 and 2017, according to the CDC. That's about 67 deaths for every 100,000 people. Research shows that genetics play a role. The CDC studied people going back to the 1800s, and they found that people with a family history of Alzheimer's are up to 73% more likely to get it. Doctors say age and lifestyle are the biggest risk factors. You can help stave off the disease by staying active, keeping your blood pressure low, and staying mentally sharp. To learn more about Alzheimer's, the National Institute on Aging has lists of clinical trials across the country on their website. They're looking for volunteers in all areas, even for those taking care of someone with dementia. There may soon be a new drug for people who have problems taking statins to lower cholesterol. Researchers followed more than 2,000 patients with high cholesterol for a year. After 3 months, those who took the new pill daily saw their bad cholesterol drop 18%. That's compared to people who took a placebo. The company that makes the drug is applying for FDA approval right now. A St. Louis couple denied business. Why they say they were turned away.
All right, we are looking pretty nice for this evening, at least on the Eat Outside Index. It's finally nice to show that if it'll show up here. We're going to actually have an Eat Outside Index of 7 tonight. It's going to stay pretty nice as we move into tomorrow as well. We'll have a look at that coming up.
Two women in St. Louis are claiming discrimination. The lesbian couple got a Groupon for dance lessons, but the owner refused to redeem their deal. Reporter Ashley Lincoln talked to the couple and the dance studio's owner.
I didn't cry, but I almost did.
Michelle King says it was supposed to be a special moment.
Mandy bought me the Groupon for Christmas as a surprise.
That she and her fiance, Amanda Shelton, would share, learning how to ballroom dance for their upcoming wedding.
We just didn't want to be looked at just another gay couple in another, gay dance studio. It wasn't about that for us, and that's what he made it into.
I'm just struck.
But they say they felt blindsided when instructor Dave Thompson with Prestige Ballroom told him he would not accept their business because they were gay.
He said, yeah, but we don't have accommodations for same-sex couples to dance. He told me that it would make everyone else in the room feel awkward.
King says they had a call with Thompson before actually meeting him. A day went by, and they say out of the blue, they got a call from this group, St. Louis Equality Dance.
She said David referred us to him. I was like, well, I didn't pay for you, I paid for Prestige.
I'm in a lesson right now. If you leave a card.
Okay. I went by the studio to get Thompson's side, and he had this to say.
I can't discuss it right now. I'll have to get with my legal counsel and have them get with you.
Okay, so you don't want to make a comment?
No.
We found the business does not advertise on their website that they do not accept gay couples.
I even asked if it was a faith-based dance studio, and he told me no. He told me it had nothing to do with that.
Legal experts say a business can refuse service if it's motivated by a religious belief. But if not, the couple could take legal action.
Do you guys feel that this is blatant discrimination?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now Melissa and Amber are trying to look past the rejection.
Hope that on our wedding day we just get to dance our heart out.
First responders rescued dozens of people from floodwaters in Nebraska. Several creeks and rivers breached their banks, even trapping people in their homes. At least one family saw up to 4 feet of water flood their house. Some drivers got trapped trying to pass covered roads. The governor is asking people to stay home as the flooding could continue for several days.
This is still not over. We still have severe weather and we're still going to have the flooding. And so please, if you do not have to travel, do not travel.
One levee has already breached. More than 1,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. This flooding is getting pretty nasty.
Yes, and we're reading about even more, breaches in levees like the one I just now saw. Flash flooding up there just across the river there in Nebraska, right near Rockport. So we're going to show you there. So things are not looking too good up there along some of the spots along the Missouri River. We're going to go into detail on that. First off, let's just be very thankful. We have a nice weekend upon us. Sunshine has been around all day. We'll get more of that tomorrow. So a lot of your sky views here here. My favorite right now is the Truman Sports Complex. I love seeing the sunshine and blue skies there, and as the sun is setting, just a few light clouds, very small ones, kind of just hanging around today. You see a few more over there near the Orient Hotel near Lawrence. All right, 58 degrees right now, and a wind right now to the west-northwest around 13. Slight gust over here to 25 miles per hour, which is minimal by comparison. All right, what I was talking about, there's Rockport just across the river. I know we have flash flood warnings in effect over here, and some of these communities are trying to desperately get out of the way very quickly, as some of those levee breaches are certainly the worst thing you could possibly have happen. Brownville, Falls City, all the way down the river to the very edge of St. Joseph and Atchison. This is where we're seeing the worst of the flooding, and it's just going to continue over the next several days. Here's a few of the river gauges that we have. At Atchison, we're reading around just under 28 feet, but we're continuing to rise into the major flooding category, very close to their all-time record of 31.6 feet. 31.4 is the projected crest. That should arrive sometime late Thursday. A couple other spots here.